right, we're going to go ahead and get started with our NASCAR Cup Series post-race media availabilities here at Darlington Raceway. We are now joined by Rick Hendrick, team owner of Hendrick Motorsports, and Jeff Gordon, vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports. Also important to note that this is the 100th win for the number 24. So gentlemen, if you would start us off, just your reaction to that incredible stat.
Well, obviously a great day for the 24 car, and I think back to last year here at Darlington, a little bit of redemption too for William Byron and that team. But yeah, real special. I mean, this weekend's special with all the throwbacks, especially that 24 throwback meant a lot to me. A lot of memories from 50th anniversary year, and was that 98, I believe, and in that car and that paint scheme. So certainly it was great to see it on track, but to see William perform and the whole team perform the way they did today too, and they had to fight back. They had track position, good car, and they had to work on it a little bit throughout the race, as well as got a little bit behind on one or two pit stops, but they just hung in there, and they were at the right place, at the right time to capitalize there at the end, and then great restart. So really, really happy for that whole team, and this year I feel like it's been just a phenomenal year for Rudy and for William and that whole 24 team. They've just been performing at a very high level every weekend, and that's why they've won the races that they have.
Mr. Hendrick, would you like to comment on that?
I'm sorry, I was sleeping here. Anytime you can win at Darlington, I didn't realize it had been since 2012 was the last race we won here, and we won with Terry, and we won a lot of races here. I remember wasn't that the steam engine that you won here?
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's great to win. Our cars were good. The Toyotas looked extremely fast as the race started, and we came back, and the adjustments they made were really good. And it's so good to see William win. To think about him as 3 wins now this year, more than anybody, and feel bad for Kyle, because he had a really good car, drove the wheels off of it, and you hate to see that happen at that stage of the race. But this is a good place. We're 296 wins now, a couple wins, so we're looking for 300, and hope we can get it this year.
Well, congratulations. We're going to open the floor to questions. We're going to start with Mike, go to Ben, and then work our way back.
Mike Hendrick from NBC. Rick, you've been stacking up wins over the past months and years, but like you mentioned, it's been 2012 since you guys won here. Is there an easy explanation for that, or just coincidence?
Joey Logano hitting William in the ass, Kyle Busch, yeah, Chase, yeah. If you go back and look at it, you can see exactly what happened. We've led laps and we've been in position, but one of those situations like that, when you see a caution toward the end, and we thought Chase had won. We think William had it won last year. Or was it last year? Yeah. And Joey got him going into turn 1. So, it's a hard race. It's a long race, and things happen, and you can be in the catbird seat, and then a caution comes out, and people pit, don't pit, and then you're in a box. But it's tough to win anywhere in this sport right now.
You mentioned 300. You're closing in on that. Any celebration in particular in mind? Kind of a big sale at the car shop, or what you got planned?
We're talking about. We really want to celebrate 300. So it's going to be an awesome year when we can do that. We'll have a huge party with all of our guys. We'll try to get all the drivers that have won a race to come back and join us. So, it's a milestone. I never thought we'd catch Richard, and now to think about 300 wins, it's amazing. And we like to celebrate those victories because that's a real milestone in the sport. So, big party, and you can get cars on a deal any day.
All right, let's go to Ben White.
Okay, Ben White, Fayetteville Observer, for Jeff and Mr. Hendrick both. It seems like William is just calm as a cucumber all the time, just cool. And is he that way in the car and also outside the car? I mean, he just seems like, you get drivers who are just all over the place in the car and get upset and stuff. Is he that way in the car
Well,
also?
well, I was standing right there with him on pit road last year when he didn't win the race because he got knocked out of the way by Joey, and I would not have considered that a calm, cool, and collected William. But he does hold it in and composes himself well, and he just puts his head down, gets through it over the next couple of days, and goes on to the next one and puts it behind him, and that's what great race car drivers do.
Yeah, I think we've seen it this year and maybe last year when he's running up front and something happens. If somebody gets into him, he gets upset. But, he's calm in the car and he does great feedback, and Rudy does an awesome job. And, I mean, to look back at William and see how he's matured over the years and how good he is now, it's pretty amazing the lack of laps he's got, to be in the position he's in. But he's smart. He works hard. He's in the simulator all the time. He puts a lot of effort into the program.
The only thing I'll add to that is leading laps, winning races, competing at up front almost every single weekend, racing with the competitors he's racing with. That builds your confidence in a way where you can be more calm because something might happen that gets you behind, but you got confidence in yourself. Your pit crew, your team will get it back, and I think that's what I'm seeing. Kind of the evolution of William and the whole team this year.
All right, let's go to Dustin and then Jordan.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Rick, while you're celebrating a win by one of your cars, the number 5 could have been in contention to have won today and involved in the incident with the 1. It's the third time he's been damaged by the 1, and either directly or indirectly the last month. Has Ross Chastain crossed a line?
I think you can ask any driver in here that he's wrecked or been involved with him. He doesn't have to be that aggressive. And I guess at this point in the race, maybe you're super aggressive, but you just don't run people up in the fence or, he's gonna make a lot of enemies. It's hard to win a championship when you got a lot of paybacks out there. And he's got so much talent. I think if he just calm down, that there's a time in the race. Dale Earnhardt Sr. told me one time, he said, I won't name the driver that drove for me, but he said, he's got all the talent. He just doesn't know how to race. And meaning he just knows when to race, when to push it. He's got a lot of talent, but he's making a lot of enemies out here. And I mean, Kyle now, this one in Dover, and it's getting Talladega. It's really getting old with these guys.
And obviously these guys are competitors, but this is another Chevrolet driver. So
I don't care if he's driving a Chevrolet if he wrecks our cars. I don't care. And I've told Chevrolet that. If you wreck us, you're going to get it back. And if you don't do it, they'll run all over you. So, I'm loyal to Chevrolet, but when somebody runs over us, then I expect my guys to hold their ground. And I'm not going to ask them to yield just because it's a Chevrolet.
And one last thing, thank you, is do you have to get involved, or is this all about Kyle? I know Kyle typically is not a confrontational type of person. That's not in his nature. Is that something that needs to be discussed at a higher level, or is that something that Kyle's just got to stick him in the wall at some point?
Well, I would think Justin would have a conversation and say, we're going to, it's going to be hard. Again, if you have a lot of people, wanting to pay you back, then it's hard to win a championship that way. He's got talent enough to do that. And but we don't want to get knocked out of, if you look at the points that Larson's lost because of that and the race here today, I mean, it's just, I think somewhere in the stages he was all over Larson. So, I mean, the drivers have to settle that. Whatever I say to the owners or NASCAR wants to get in it. They did with Jeff Bodine and Dale Earnhardt when I was going through all that, and they put a stop to it.
But this hasn't reached that
level. And this is just not between two guys, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. Kind of a follow-up question to this. Cliff Daniels said over the radio, maybe this is just him kind of venting, but he did say he wanted Chevrolet to step in, or at least hinted at it strongly, that Chevrolet should step in. Is that something that you would like to see happen, just to kind of maybe kind of cool everything down a little bit?
Well, I don't know if Chevrolet can cool it down. I don't know that. That's not the way they usually operate. It's either NASCAR or the drivers, or the owners. But you've heard the pit crew say before, hey, we like it. We don't care if people like us. We're here to run over and win. But if it doesn't change, he's going to have a hard time winning a championship.
And this question's for Jeff. Jeff, I think it's fair to say, Kyle's a mild-mannered driver for the most part. He's not somebody who's going to go out there and shove people around, that kind of thing. Is that something you have to kind of push for him to do, to kind of respond to this a little bit, or is that something that it's just not his nature?
Well, yeah, Kyle's got to work within what he's comfortable with, and some people are really comfortable pushing and shoving and have no issue spinning guys or putting them in the fence. And Kyle's a guy that you have a lot of respect for him because of the way he races, and but he knows when to be aggressive too. So I think it depends on what's on the line. When it's maybe for the championship, if that's what it's going to take. But I think Kyle is the kind of guy that if he leans on somebody, he's going to make sure both of you come out the other end. That's his kind of responsibility in the way he carries himself. So obviously having multiple incidences, and it's a long list that Ross is now a part of, but I don't anticipate Kyle changing the way that he races guys, knowing Kyle the way I do.
All right, we're going to take 2 more questions. We're going to go to Pete and then to Bob.
Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. Mr. Hendrick, that letter came out earlier this week about team owners wanting NASCAR to continue negotiating for a good rights settlement. Why do you think there's pushback on the permanent charter situation, and what do you think might happen next?
Well, I think it's a complicated situation when you look at permanent charters, and I think they've got they at least, we met with them the other day and they're listening, and I just think you got the TV deal on the table, and I think NASCAR's listening, so we'll see if we can get something worked out that everybody can live with.
Jeff, I think you were been part of the negotiating team. Do you think that the negotiating team is still being listened to by NASCAR? Because Denny Hamlin came out with some comments the other day that he wasn't sure that.
Denny Hamlin came out with comments? I'm shocked. I'll be honest, I have not seen any of those. I think we're still having good conversations, as Rick mentioned, with NASCAR. Obviously, they're right in the middle of negotiating with the TV networks and partners there, and how that's going to all be packaged together, and so we all want the same thing. We all want to have a sport that's thriving, that fans love, and great competition like what we saw on the track today, and also have something that works out economically for the teams, for the tracks, for NASCAR, and everybody involved. So I think we're in a good place, but we're also making sure that NASCAR knows kind of where the teams stand and how united they are.
All right, we're going to take one more question for Jeff and Rick, and then we're going to let them go. We're going to go to Bob, but before we do, I want to introduce our race winner, William Byron, and our race-winning crew chief of the number 24 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet, Rudy Fugel. Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Yeah, I had 2 for Rick. Alex Bowman talked to us a little bit earlier today, said that doesn't know when he'll be back, that he's getting scans in a few days. I'm curious, when would you, if those scans said he's okay, would you encourage him to race right away? Would you want him to maybe wait till after the 600? And then also, have you reconsidered your kind of stance on extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I don't want him snowboarding anymore. No, look, I want him to be right when he gets back in the car, because when you got an injury like that, he would like to be back in Charlotte. He's seeing the doctor this week, and he's got to get in and out of the car. They got to put the belts on him and see how he responds. That's a terrible injury. If you come back too early, it can mess you up for the whole year. So I want him to be right, and he's listening to the doctors. he has started working out. So I think it's a good shot. He'll be back pretty quick. But we haven't done the test in the car with the straps on him and the harnesses and see if he has any pain.
And then yesterday, Larson actually won in the scheme, which I assume is pretty close to you. Just kind of curious what your emotions were yesterday after that win.
Oh, I like to see Hendrick car wins races, and that was a good day. He drove a heck of a race, and I would have liked for it to have been my car or JRM car, but he wants to race. They had a car, and it was going to work. So I was excited. I love to see him win whatever he's in.
Jeff, Rick, thank you for spending some time with us, and congratulations. All right, well, at the start of this press conference, I shared a interesting stat with Jeff and Rick that I want to share with you guys as well. This is the 100th win for the number 24. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, we were well aware on the team. It's kind of that hump we wanted to get over pretty quick. I think I was a little bit anxious about it. Getting those 2 wins early in the year and then trying to get a third is tough. In the sport, everyone is so competitive, as we saw today. You had 4 or 5 cars within, a chance for the lead. So, just good to get over that hump and good to get that monumental win for the number 24. It's been a really special number to me already.
Great.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we were well aware and working on it, since Phoenix, but. That number is iconic, and I mean, sitting next to the 2 that just left here is, you still got to pinch yourself to know you're working for them, with them, and winning races in the 24. So, just proud to get number 100.
All right, we're going to start in the middle here with Chris, and then come up to Mike.
Chris Weaver, WGHP, Fox 8 High Point. This is for both of you. You can both answer a little bit of this. What is it about each other that has you finding where you are now, 3 wins this year? What do you see in each other that encourages the other, and how's all that work?
I think that we just, at our core, we trust each other, in the decisions that we make. So I think that goes a long way in this sport, because a lot of times, even if we don't make the right decision, the right choice on a restart, or the right adjustment or whatever, like we get back to where we need to be because of that trust. So I think that's what it takes.
Yeah, the trust, and then I think each one of us has picked each other up at different times. Different parts of the team has picked each other up all year long, so you prove that, it's a team. So it's we've known that. We try to build that culture now in year 3, but it's getting there for sure.
All right, we'll come up here to Mike and then go back to Pete.
Mike Embry, NBC. William, were you aware that Harvick's car was somewhat wounded there before the final restart, and did that factor into how you raced at all?
No, but I was aware that the guys behind me had some damage, so I was kind of picking a little bit based on that, but also the history of how each person races. So, every restart's different. You got to, understand the characters around you, and I felt like we went with the decision that obviously put a little bit in the hands of the people around us, but also was, I would say in my head, coming to the restart was 75% the right choice. So I spent a lot of time debating in my head. You have a lot of time to figure it out, but I felt like I made the decision that made the most sense.
You had a really good view of all the crazy stuff happening at the front there over the last 20 laps or so. And it seemed that the green flag, you really took off to get away from Harvick, which is obviously what you want to do, but were you concerned that he might attempt something that the other guys had racing for first over those last laps?
No, because I feel like, I mean, he's going to do whatever he can to win, obviously, but it does matter in the sport how you race others. And, you know, I think with the one, like, you know, he had done that move earlier in the race, and it had come back his way. And then on that restart with, you know, them two, you know, lined up in front of me, that I kind of knew what to expect. So that was part of our decision making there. And then coming to that final restart, you have to kind of put that in the memory bank and think about, okay, who are the people that I'm up against in this situation? And we try to make the best decision based on that.
Go to Pete.
Hey there, Pete Iacobelli, Associated Press. William, that's what I wanted to ask you about. Were you prepared before that next to last restart that Kyle and Ross were probably could get into a situation like that, and so you were prepared to just avoid whatever situation they were in?
Yeah, we talked about it. You know, that all those things, like emotions, if they factor into decisions, are important for us. So we talked as soon as the caution came out of what we thought was going to happen, and Rudy did a great job filling me in. Obviously, I can't listen, but I can assume based on all the information. So we try to make the best decisions, and I felt like today we grinded our way through this race. I mean, it was a tough race for us, but we kept our heads in it, and that's what made us make good calls at the end to get us in a position. I mean, I don't think we really thought we could win in the first restart when there was that big wreck. Then we started to get a glimmer of hope, and then we started to go to work on, okay, what are the things we need to do to win it.
And I also wanted to know, how much did last year's finish here kind of affect you coming in this year? Did you think about it a lot this weekend, or did you just put it out of your mind?
No, I don't. I mean, I think I came here being excited to race at Darlington. I felt like it would be a tough weekend because of, you know, some of our fall off the previous week. So I was hopeful that we worked on it, and we did, and we had a good long run car. You know, so I was just kind of thinking about those things. I mean, just really the things that matter to us and our team. And we went out and put together a great day. I mean, it wasn't going to be the day we hoped for, but that's how it goes sometimes. And that's kind of what we said on the radio. We're like, man, we surprised ourselves.
All right, we're going to go up to the press box for a question from Jim Utter. Go ahead with your question.
Jim Utter, motorsport.com. Congrats, William. When you first got out of the car and they were asking you about win number 100 for the 24, you said that you were thankful to get the opportunity to drive that car, but you also said you felt like maybe you were too young at the time. I was just wondering, what is it years later now that has made you come to the realization that maybe that was the case?
Yeah, I think I'm just honest with myself and reflective, and I feel like I'm a different person than I was when I stepped in the car, and it was a lot of pressure, you know, driving the 24. No matter what way you slice it, you know, it's a big number and has a lot of meaning, and being with a team like this. So yeah, I feel like that growth process happened, and I don't really look back and say, you know, I don't compare myself to then. So, and I have different people around me that really know me. So, it's great what we built. And yeah, it's different.
Thank you.
Any additional questions up in the press box?
No.
All right, we're going to go to Bob Pockris.
Bob Pockris, Fox Sports. William, last year I want to say you won 2 in the first 8 races and then didn't win again. So I'm curious.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. I'm curious if those thoughts started going through your head after 2 early wins this year, and then, I mean, I don't want to say that 10 races is a long, or 9 races is a long winless streak, but like, did you feel that this year was going any different than after your 2 wins last year?
For sure. I mean, I think we had kind of a chip, you know, and a little bit of just trying not to let that happen again. And so we've been probably overexerting ourselves a little bit just to make sure that we don't repeat. And I think now we're safely in a groove here where, you know, we got to continue our processes, continue what got us here. But it's definitely feels different than what we had last year, where I felt like after we won those couple races, we were kind of, you know, we had just kind of a false confidence, I think, and we've learned from that. I have, and I don't intend on doing that again.
Go to Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic, for both of you, I guess. You look at the stats this year, laps led, average running position, that kind of thing, stage wins. Do you guys feel like you should have more wins than you have right now?
I mean, this is the hardest form of motorsport in North America. I mean, it's hard. We run up front and we win, lead a lot of laps and put ourselves in position, but you don't always win. So we'd like to win more, but to me, it's the process. It's how do you put yourself in a spot to practice well, and then qualify well, and then race well and lead laps, and that's what we're doing week in and week out, no matter the type of track. And that's what we didn't have last year. We kind of Atlanta's a win that we was what it was, and Martinsville's on its own, and a night race that was 40 degrees. So we weren't dominating, being in the top 3 or 4, but we consistently have the best running position anybody in the series, and that's what we're doing. You don't always win those races, unfortunately. So I just want to know how to do that our team can compete like that, because if you do that and you put yourself in a position to win, you're gonna win the races like today, where we weren't the best car, but we were close.
You feel like you have both wins on the table?
No, I mean, Richmond was hard to swallow because we think our MO together is get the best finish that we can, and at Richmond, we went from battling Martin for the win, maybe going to finish second, and then go to 24. So that one was the hardest of the year to kind of go back on Monday and be like, man, what happened? But, other than that, I mean, I don't know. Races can go any way, I feel like, but certainly the statistics show, which I'm a big stats guy, is I look at, our running position, like he said, and stage points, and it looks pretty good. So we just got to keep the process that we have going, because it's obviously working.
You look at the last few years, Harvick in 20, Larson in 21. You could throw Hamlin in that mix as well. There's basically a group of guys that have kind of dominated and kind of asserted themselves way clear of everyone else. Do you feel like you guys are capable of that, and that's your ceiling?
I think I think we'll look back at today and think about the things we could do better, and I think that's how we're gonna get better. And I think when we come back here in the fall, if we apply all those things. I think we're on a good trajectory, but I don't really look at like potential as much as I just look at, okay, how can we improve? So there's still a lot to do, but think about North Wilkesboro. I got a late model race on Tuesday, so I'm gonna think about that.
All right, Rudy, we know you have to get to inspection. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and congratulations. All right, we're going to go back to Chris.
Chris, Fox 8, WGHP High Point again. You brought it up. You're going to Wilkesboro Tuesday night to race in the late model races. What do you think the fans' reaction is going to be to being back in that place? I'm watching you and a bunch of other Cup drivers Tuesday and Wednesday night. And what do you expect out of the race leading into the weekend, into the All-Star race?
Yeah, I mean, the track looks gorgeous. I think it just really looks nice. The whole layout of the place has that feel of kind of a Wrigley Field, or just a historic place that has a newness to it. So I'm excited for it. I think the late model race will kind of get me ready, running the truck race after that, and then running the Cup race on Sunday. So lots to do, and feel like we don't really know what we're getting into yet. So we got to get. I don't know. I think I practiced at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, so I'll tell you after that.
To Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. We kind of touched on this maybe a little bit the other day, kind of talking about the fighting and stuff, but you look at with Ross and everything today, what would it take for you to maybe want to confront him and send a message that this is, this isn't how you want to be raced?
I mean, I got to preface it with, honestly, Ross and I raced pretty good. So, I think he was a little bit better than me at times today. And, we kind of traded positions here and there. But I do think some of the things I've seen feel like they're a little bit over the line. And I feel like that's whatever that line is has to kind of come back down just a little bit. I mean, there's a certain point when wrecking is just not the answer. So I don't know what that would entail, but yeah, you just there's a line, right? Like we all have pedals and steering wheels, so there's a way to give it back, and I just saw a lot of wrecking today, so I didn't really like that. I thought we had some really good cars out there, and could have maybe settled it out that way.
Go to Bob.
Did you anticipate Ross trying to pinch Kyle up high, and so were you like thinking, okay, I'm going to stay at probably as low as I can and can keep momentum on that restart?
Yeah, we talked about it on the under the caution. We talked about just what was going on and whether we felt like that was going to come into play again. I was surprised that Ross got the lead on the restart. I guess they were really close side by side. So he got the lead, and then, when he chose the bottom, I wasn't surprised. So I chose the bottom too, but I felt like what I really felt like was going to happen was somebody on the top was going to lose momentum because he was going to take that line away, and I didn't think that they would wreck. But obviously it happened, and, we rolled on by. I was kind of hopeful that they would get choked up, and I'd just go to the bottom 3 wide and clear them all.
Any additional questions for William? Kelly?
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. William, so you said you're a stats guy, so you know where you stack up against the competition, but do you feel like this team gets the respect or gets recognized as it should for what you guys are doing and where you should stack up in this garage?
I mean, I've heard a lot of different opinions, but I think as a team, and statistically, I feel like we're right where we need to be. So there's a couple other guys that are really close, or even a little bit better in some categories. Kyle has been really strong. I feel like he's really fast on some of the bigger tracks. Ross has good stats, and so yeah, I look at all that stuff. Laps led, average running position, all those things. So I feel like in most of the things I've looked at, I feel like we're pretty good. I do have a couple areas that I feel like we could improve, and we'll keep working on.
So you feel like you're a top 5 driver in this garage right now?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely that. It's really hard to separate at the top. I feel like there's a few guys that could win every week. So being in that little bit is tough, but sometimes they go your way, and you just try to stay up there in contention.
What about winning at Darlington? This is a place that, of course, gets a lot of recognition for how tough it is, and there's always talk coming into every Darlington race weekend that, experience is going to win out. You're still a relatively younger guy, but so what does winning at Darlington say, or what does it mean?
Yeah, it's a track that takes a lot of patience, but also aggression. Like you can't run at 90%. You've got to run at 98 or 99, but that edge is really close, and I feel like that's what catches young guys out is they, at least for me, like I made mistakes and then try to back off and drive easier, and it just doesn't work. So it's one of those places you have to be kind of on that edge and just have to really cut it close, but that's what makes speed, but also being patient enough to not overstep that edge, because you really can't. You can maybe do it a couple times, but it's tough. It's up there for sure. I mean, probably not the win that sticks out just of, dominating the race or anything like that, but being up front, being in contention, and based on the past history we've had here, I think it definitely, it stacks up pretty high.
All right, William, thank you and congratulations.
Appreciate it.